might have even been one of you guys. But I saw Mr. McCormac this fall at the football game. And it was right after, during the day, early in the year, that I was talking to one of you guys, maybe it was my other class, and I asked you to do something, and you said, I can't do that. And I said, do you think the soldiers who fought in World War II ever said to their teachers when they were in high school, I can't? I said, you had the greatest generation of people, the greatest generation of men fighting for your freedom back in the 1940s. I doubt they ever said I can't. And I don't want to hear I can't from you. So that night, I was at the football game, and I see Mr. McCormac at the game, and he had his veteran's hat on, and I went down and I sat next to him, and I asked him some questions, and I told him that story, and I said, Mr. McCormac, would you ever want to come in and talk to my students? And at first he said, I don't have anything to say. And I said, are you kidding me? Here is a man who fought for our country in World War II in 1942.
42 to 45.
1942 to 1945. We are privileged to have someone like this come to speak to us today. That's lived through so much. You know, you think about when you were born, 2002 maybe, right? Okay. Mr. McCormac, what year were you born?
1921.
1921. So think about all the things that he's seen since 1921. Some of the things that we're studying that he lived through. Living history. And I told you when my father was in college and got to study Russian history from Alexander Kerensky and learn the Russian Revolution from the man who was president of Russia in that time. That's the best kind of history you can get. History from somebody who lived through it. Me telling the stories are not the same as what you'll hear today from Mr. McCormac, who's going to talk to you a little bit about his experiences. And I'm just going to let him go for a while. And if he needs me, I'll be right here. But I'm sure he can handle it. So, Mr. McCormac, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation, Mr. Bristol.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm trying to remember things that happened over 70 years ago, so that's pretty good tax on memory. Especially when in 3 weeks I'll be 96 years old. So if I miss something, you wouldn't know it anyhow. So I'll start with my name is Frank McCormac, in case you didn't hear that. This is my teleprompter. So, it all started in 1941 when the Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. 2,000 soldiers were killed, 200 planes were destroyed, 6 battleships were sunk. So immediately after that, all the men that were able went down to their headquarters to volunteer for the Army, Navy, Marines, or Air Force. I didn't. I waited for the draft. What's the draft? It's when every man 18 to 45 had to sign up, and they received a 3-digit number. When that number was called through the radio or the newspaper, when that number was called, you had to report to the draft board, which I did. After signing up, I was sent to New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, where I got my uniform, got my shots. The way we got shots at that time, you walked in backwards through a doorway, and you got shots on both sides. And then we were set for good from then on. So after that, I was sent to New Cumberland to get my uniform, all the equipment I needed, and I was assigned to KP right away. KP is Kitchen Police, which is doing knives, forks, and pots and pans and whatnot. It happened to be, I went up there on December the 18th, 42. Christmas Day, I was assigned to KP. Fortunately, my mother, father my sister and my girlfriend come to visit me, and I got off KP. Best thing that ever happened. So, I was assigned to the Signal Corps. I worked for a radio company before I went into service. So automatically you went into the Signal Corps for communications. I was assigned to Camp Edison, Seagirt, New Jersey. That's up near Long Branch, if anybody's familiar with that area. We started basic training there. And I don't know whether you ever heard of Billy Hallop. He was one of the dead end kids in the movies and later on TV. Billy Hallop was a leader of the dead end kids. He was my drill sergeant. Something to write home about. So, Camp Edison was right on the beach, and it was cold. We had to wear all our clothes to go to bed at night. It was so cold. We had a little potbelly stove in the middle of the barracks, that if you went that far away, you were freezing. So, we wore that every night. You get up in the morning, your toothpaste was frozen. That's how cold it was. So, needless to say, I didn't use toothpaste. We went to Fort Monmouth for studying radio communication. So one day I was walking home from classes at Fort Monmouth, and my ear started to hurt, and I couldn't figure out why. So I went to the medics. They said, that's frostbitten. It's a good thing you didn't bend your ear, you would have bent it off. So I still have it. They're big too. So from there, I was there about 2 months, I guess. And I was sent to Camp Murphy, Florida, Hollywood, Florida, for radar training. I was there for 3 months. That was a great time to be down Florida. Free time, we went over across the street, went into the beach, and the ocean was right there. We used to throw our helmets up to get coconuts out of palm trees and knock them down and then break them open with the helmet, and we split what we had. I was there 3 months, as I say. It's the best place I ever was, I guess. The next move was Camp Crowder, Joplin, Missouri, for more training for communications. I was there 2 months. We boarded a train, a troop train. We didn't know where we were going, but we wound up at Camp Pendleton near San Francisco, California. While we were here, we went around to see the area, check it out. One day we were out on Oakland Bay Bridge and looking around the sights, and all of a sudden we see a Piper Cub coming in. Looked like it was going right for the bridge. And it went right under us, right out the other side. I think they changed the laws now, you can't do that. I can understand why. We were there just a short time, and we got on another train. We didn't know where we were headed. We thought for sure we were going to the Pacific to fight the Japanese, but no. We went across the country back east again, and so the enemy wouldn't know where we were going, just like us. We didn't know where we were going. We'd first go toward Canada, and then down toward Texas, and up again. That's the way we went all across the country. We wound up in Massachusetts. Camp Miles Standish in Massachusetts. We stayed there a very short time. We were told we were going on trucks, and we were going to go to the south end of Florida, for England, pardon me. We had just landed, maybe 2 days before, in Edinburgh, Scotland. That's where we got off the ship. And we trucked down to southern England. We didn't know anything about D-Day at that time. but the troops were landing all over D-Day. And we got on a ship, one of those ships where the front comes down and you go up on the sand. I have some sand here and some shells from the Omaha Beach right there. We were across the English Channel. The first troops got there June 6th. The group I was with came in 6 days later. We walked almost all night and arrived at St. Mary Glees. That's the first town I hit when I first got in there. We were attached to the 1st Army, General Omar Bradley. 1st Army, 7th Corps Signal Battalion. They had been there, they came from Iceland. And we met them right there at St. Mary Glees. And we were assigned a truck full of communications and a driver. We were supposed to maintain communications between the generals in the back and the front lines. In a short time, my driver's wife became ill and died in the States. So he was sent back home. I became the operator and the driver. I never drove a vehicle in my life before. I soon learned, you have to learn. You do something with the gears and first thing you know you're going. If you don't go backwards, you go forward. I drove through France, Belgium, and into Germany. It was raining most of the time, raining heavily. The roads were muddy, and I couldn't see out the windshield with mud coming up, so I had to put the windshield down and put goggles on. At least I could clean them. So that's the way we went in until we met the 4th Division Infantry one time. We were attached to whoever needed communications, we went to them. First we went to 4th Division Infantry, then the 82nd Airborne, and 101st Airborne. While I was in Germany, it was an odd thing. I ran across my best friend in Heidelberg, Germany. We didn't know each other were in Germany at all, but there we were. He was in another group altogether. We happened to meet there. He happened to wound up to be my best man at my wedding. We were in Germany for a little while. We were getting booed by the people that lived there because they didn't want us. They wanted the Germans to win. And they pushed us back into Belgium for a little while. This is when we started back into Germany again. That's what it was called the Battle of the Bulge. Snowing heavily by this time. Every holiday we always had, while we was in the service, always had the big turkey dinner like you would at home with all the trimmings. I had it on my truck, and the fender of my truck was full of snow, but that's where I had my turkey dinner. We finally went back into Germany, and I guess it was the same people. They start cheering us now. They knew what side the bread was buttered on, I guess. While I was monitoring the lines one night, talking to different people, talking to each other from front to back, and I heard them say, "Beware, German soldiers are wearing our uniforms." That's a little scary. So that night, while I was tending to the communications, a knock comes to my back door of the truck. And I got my carbine ready, pushed open the door, I was ready to shoot. It was my partner from the next truck. Good thing I didn't shoot. Yeah. We came many concentration camps. You've heard of them, I guess, the Holocaust. There were 2 or 3 of them in Germany. I went there right after they freed Auschwitz camp. The prisoners were released, and some of them who could got outside as quickly as they could, got a hold of a bike and took off. Many of the inmates there had been cremated. Most of them were being starved to death. Beds they were sleeping on were just wooden boards with a little hay thrown on top of them. But a lot of them died. And while I was there, we got all the civilians in Germany, in the town right there, got them all, gathered them around, and we made makeshift so we could carry the dead people out. There were a lot of them in there. And we got these stretchers, one at a time, walked them to a big trench that was dug and placed one after another. It must have lasted an hour or more, putting them all down there. The last one was a baby. That was a dead baby. We had a little celebration there, prayers. And then we went on. The war ended shortly after that. May of 1945, it ended. I arrived by ship in the U.S. in October 45 and went to Camp Fort Meade, Maryland, where I was discharged. From there, I traveled by train to North Philadelphia train station, where I was met by my father, mother, sister, and my girlfriend. Shortly after arriving home, I went to go to the test for my driver's license. Now, I had been driving over there, as I said, without a license for about 3 months, I guess. So I went home and took this case. I took the course up in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia. So I got in, the state trooper came in with me. It was a 2-lane highway. And he said, all right, this car in front of me was slow. He said, pass this car. I said, no, sir. Well, I kept going, following this car. He said, I'm telling you, pass that car. I said, no again. He said, why are you telling me you're not going to go? I said, well, I can't see if there's anything coming across the hill. And I wouldn't want to have an accident, so he said, who drove this car up here? I said, my brother. He said, get him, you flunked. So I was right, but I was wrong. I thought he was kidding. He said, we don't play games around here. So about 2 months later, I guess, I took the test again, another state trooper, and I passed, no problem. So after that, we finally started to make plans to get married. We had been going together about 3 years before I went to service. So we made plans. We married February 23rd, 1946. We were married 1 month short of 70 years when my wife died January 2016. We had 7 children, and you can see some of them here. We had 6 girls and 1 boy. Now I have a little memorabilia up here if you want to take time to look at them. I have pictures, both in Florida and also overseas, the sand, and then there's my medals. So you're welcome to come up and look at them. Thanks for listening to me. You had no other choice, I guess. Thank you.
I'm sure they have some questions.
Yeah.
If I can answer them, I'll answer the question.
Okay. Let's start with when you said you enlisted in the Army.
I didn't enlist.
I mean, you were drafted, sorry.
Right.
You were right out of high school then?
I was 21.
Okay. So you
Not out of high school. I was out 3 years.
Okay. And what were you doing at the time?
I was working for Football Radio at the
Okay.
time.
So that's why they put you into the radio
Right.
department.
That's what they did all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were born and raised in Philadelphia?
Right.
Okay. And
Fort
what
Richmond, have anybody ever heard of Fort Richmond?
Fort Richmond, yes.
Kensington.
Okay. What high school did you go to?
St. Joe Prep.
Yep. Okay. And so how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
And what were your thoughts when you received word that you had been drafted? How did you feel about that?
Scared. I wanted to go. I wanted to go, say I did my part. I was glad I went. I was glad I came home. That's all.
Okay. And you said you fought in the Battle of the Bulge?
Right.
And how long was that battle?
About a month, I guess. Back and forth a little bit. They thought they were going to push us back into the channel, but we went the other way, and we went back into Germany solid. We didn't go all the way to Berlin, but Russians were coming from that area.
Right.
So.
Right. And God, I have so many things I could ask you. Just have one too. How? Tell the kids when you came home, when you were finished, how you were treated here after coming home from a war. How did the people respond to the?
Oh, they responded very well, very well. Yeah, they accepted us. Glad to see us come back. I understand it's a lot different when the people come home from Vietnam.
Well, I remember my father telling a story that it was when BE Day was the first time he ever got to stay up all night.
Oh yeah.
And they went in the streets with pots and pans and banged the pots and pans.
Right.
And then they found out that a neighbor had come home, and the whole neighborhood went to the house to see him in his uniform out on the porch.
Yeah.
And
It's
just
a nice
so
feeling.
excited.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
We couldn't wait to get home, but we thought we'd never get home. This seemed to go day after day after day. We used to say to each other, I wish they'd stop buying bonds back there so we can get home.
That's great. Guys, questions? Other questions? Brian, go ahead.
What is it like having something you lived through taught?
What's that again?
What's it like to? What feeling do you have? You're actually you lived through something that we teach in school. How does that feel to you?
I didn't think anything of it myself, but I'm sure people that never been there think it is something. It is something to be proud of. I am proud of it.
Absolutely.
I didn't get in any hand-to-hand battles or anything like that. I saw an awful lot of bombs.
Well, even the liberation of the camp of the.
That was really something to
Yeah.
see, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Can't imagine. And the neighbors said they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know it.
Do you believe that?
I can't believe that.
No.
No. It went on for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, awful.
Now that you've been through the war, has your view of it changed? Are you anti-war, pro-war?
How do you feel about war in general after experiencing it?
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I hope I don't have any to go in there. So far, I haven't.
We take you. We need more like you, I guess. Go ahead, Mary.
What was your what was when the concentration camps liberated? What was their reaction? And were they really confused? Or
When they saw you, how did they react?
When it was over,
Yeah.
oh, they were glad to see us. That they knew then it was all. They were done. You know.
You said
Some of these people that get out of the concentration camps, they went home expecting to get a big welcome, but they weren't. They were frowned upon because they lost. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You said the one guy got it on a bike and left?
Yeah.
That was a soldier?
No, that's one of the people with a striped suit on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Describe how that person looked at.
Huh?
Remember you told us how they looked
Oh.
as far as their, yeah.
Not this wide?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real thin. Nothing to them. Tall.
Did you know about those camps before you
I
actually
heard
came?
about them, yes.
So you knew they were a reality?
Yes, but
And
people
you,
today don't realize that it was real.
yeah.
Yeah. No fake about that.
Did you know before you went over there that those were happening?
No, I did not.
what was your first thought when you came home?
Want to get married.
That's great. And how long were you together before you got married?
first started getting together, 1939.
Wow.
I invited her to my senior prom. And then 2 years later, I went to her senior prom. She went to Hallahan.
Right.
That's the way it started.
That's great.
Were either of your brothers drafted too, or was it just you?
What's that?
Your brothers, you said you had brothers, did they
Yeah.
fight also, or no?
I had one brother who was in the Navy. He was stationed in Hawaii. He had a good job.
Yeah.
The other brother didn't go in the service at all.
Okay. Mary?
If you had one piece of advice to like give to our generation, what would it be?
Stay out of the war.
How are they different, how are the kids today different than the kids when you were their age? What do you see different about them? Because I get this a lot, and I say, there's not a lot different, there's less different than you think. It seems they're a lot more different
Yeah.
because of everything else, but how do you feel about
They
it?
have everything today.
Yeah.
We never had half that
Right,
in our day.
right.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest difference.
yeah, that is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Ashley?
Do you see like war in the media and like in movies? Does it seem like over glorified to you? Do you think it like I guess?
I don't think so. That's real. That's real.
What's the, of the movies that you've seen about World War II, what one to you would you say was the most realistic?
Band of Brothers, did you see that?
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
yeah, I like that.
Uh,
Are there
Private
any,
Brian, I don't know.
Yeah, that was-
a
yeah.
good one.
are there any people that you're in contact with that you knew from the war that are still around?
Most of the ones I was with are from up north, New England, someplace like that. Nobody near me. I put my name online, trying to find some people. but
Right.
Never got any response.
Now, you said your best man in your wedding was your best friend, you met him, he was your best friend before you got there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you just happened to run into him.
Yeah, it's out of all the people over there, I see
Yeah.
him. We were both surprised,
Yeah,
right in the middle of Heidelberg.
that's crazy. That's great.
You said the shells are from Omaha.
Yeah.
How is it like being on that boat and then having to go on rush onto the beach?
A little scary because the Germans are up on a big hill, shooting down at everybody getting on the beach. As you can see, I ducked them all.
The, so you said you were there the week after
Yes.
D-Day and had no idea that D-Day was happening, right?
No, no. The people that went in ahead of us a week before, they were only in quarter of a mile, half mile maybe, because they were all shooting all through the woods there.
Wow.
But they didn't get in far, neither did I.
Right.
Uh,
And you got all the way to Germany.
All the way to Germany. And back again.
Wow. And how long did that take you, would you say?
I landed there in June, I got in Germany in December, 6 months.
And what did you do after you served and came home and got married? What did you do after that? Did you go back into radio or?
I went back to the same company. That was a rule, they had to take you back.
Right.
So I worked with them. I had 42 years with them, I retired from them. Then I took a job at the state store in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
I had 10 years with them, and I retired from there, so I've had enough now.
So, I think you earned it.
Were you able to like write your family and your girlfriend during when you were over in Europe?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Did you get a lot of nice messages?
I get plenty of notes back from them, from my aunts and uncles, everybody sending me packages. I was the most popular guy on the band because I was the only one getting packages. And as soon as the mail comes, they all gathered around me.
What was your family's reaction to you getting drafted?
They weren't too happy, that's all I can say. They didn't tell me, but I could tell they were disappointed like I was. What can you say?
But see, here's what the difference is that you guys don't understand so much. You know, it's not something that you wanted to do, but that's what makes Mr. McCormack's generation so special, is that without hesitation, he went, and he knew he needed to go, and that they needed him. And even though, like he said, his family didn't want him to go, he really didn't want to go, but as soon as he was called, he went.
Yeah.
And that's why I said those things when, you know, half jokingly at the beginning, when you guys say to me, I can't. Just think about those guys. They were in high school, and right out of high school, not much older than you. And Mr. McCormack couldn't even drive.
Yeah, right.
And he goes over to Europe as a soldier in the war, and has to learn that they say, well, you're driving now.
Yeah, sure.
And he drove, and the things that he had to do, and the things that he saw, not much older than you, and without hesitation, just went and did it.
Yeah.
With no, I can't do this. Mom, can you write me a note? I'm gonna be late to school today. Can you write me a note?
Yeah.
Get out of detention. See, that's why we look at Mr. McCormack's generation with such pride and such awe of them, that I hope that, you know, and I'm pretty confident a lot of you would be similar, but sometimes we gotta push them
Give it a
a
little
little
push.
together.
Right.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any criticism or thoughts on like war now?
Hmm?
Do you have any criticism or thought on war like happening now?
Have your feelings changed now about war as opposed to that?
Yeah, I just don't have any, like for the war of any kind. It's not good. Too many things happen even when they come home. A lot of them can't make it after that. They went bad up here, or something wrong with them. It's bad to even have to go.
Yeah.
If you have to go, you have to go.
Yeah. Mike, you had a question?
What does the patch on your arm mean?
7th Corps, 7th Signal Corps. That's what it is. Actually, I was a sergeant. I don't have a stripes on.
Sophia, go ahead.
When learning to drive, what was the hardest part about learning to drive in a completely different country? Or wait, did you have where did you start?
Yeah,
driving?
he was in
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
You didn't have headlights like you have driving around here. The headlights were there, but it was down to about that much light. It couldn't help you to see anything, but they could see you. They could see something moving all the time. But you had no help from my headlights at all.
A lot of accidents.
No.
I would have had a lot of accidents.
I drive beside the truck. I went on a mission to get some supplies. So I took a Jeep. By that time, I learned how to drive. I took a Jeep, and I was going into areas I didn't know what was there, whether it was the enemy or not, because they were all intermingled. Like I said, they were wearing our uniforms, so it could have been some of them.
How are you? I get lost and have multiple accidents.
Well, I guess I was lost, but I was moving fast.
What medals are those that you got?
Good contact, I'll tell you that one. One from Army of Occupation from Germany, we got that. American War, this is one with all the battle scars on it. That's when I was attached to different divisions. That's what that is. This is a European medal for being in the Second World War. These are for the two guns, the carbine and M1 that I shot. I didn't do too much shooting though.
What was the far left one?
Which one?
The far left middle?
The far
One on the
left.
bottom, on the left.
This?
No, the one, the top left one. Oh, yes, that one.
Good conduct.
Oh,
Can't you tell?
When you got back after the war, as Mr. Bristol asked you, he said about how did people treat you. Did you ever meet anyone who said something to you that would, not be okay about the war?
Never heard a bad word about it, I'll tell you.
It's such a different.
I can go out on a boardwalk any day with this hat on.
Yep.
And you'd be surprised how many people come and shake my hand. They still honor that, I'll tell you. I wouldn't be without it.
That's how I met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad I put that on.
I am too. Other questions? I just think it's, for them even, we can take the war out of this, just to have somebody here who's lived the life that you've lived, I don't think they understand the decades that you've seen. And some of the things that you remember not being around, like television.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even know there's life like that before television.
Yeah.
So you've seen so many different things. What's the one thing that stands out to you that invention-wise that's been the biggest one you've seen in your life?
Television could be one of the highlights, I guess. The perfection of all these things. Radios, it got so much better. Television got so much better. It was black and white when it first started. Till 1960, I think, color came in. We used to watch television about that big one time. We used to have magnifying glasses so everybody in the room could see it. Now they're as big as a house.
Yeah.
You like Facebook too?
Oh,
Yeah, he's on Facebook. You like Facebook?
I'm on Facebook. I'm always on Facebook. I don't have anything else to do. That's how I keep in touch with my family.
That's how I do too. Showing our age though a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
These kids, Facebook, that's
Yeah.
old people.
Oh, okay.
They're all, what are you guys, Instagram and
Oh, yeah.
What's
I don't
the other
know
one?
anything about that.
Snapchat? Oh, yeah, Snapchat. Twitter.
He hasn't gotten into
Yeah,
that.
me neither. Mary, you have a question?
How did you end up in Ocean City?
Looking for a place to live, I guess. I lived in northeast Philadelphia, and we had several, the basement, another level. My wife's hips were going bad, so we couldn't take steps anymore. So we had to go into one floor. We went to a couple of apartments in Philadelphia. And then my sister-in-law, who has since passed away, she lived in Ocean City. We used to come down and visit her, so when I was looking for a place to stay, I tried Ocean City.
How long have you been here now?
About 12 years.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. Ashley?
What was your favorite decade?
What was that?
What was your favorite decade to live in, like the 60s?
Favorite decade to live in?
1960s, 1970s.
Oh, wow.
1921 when I was born. I don't know.
You've seen a lot of presidents.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
What's your favorite president that you've seen?
John Kennedy,
Yeah, me too.
Least favorite?
that's
Oh.
my favorite.
I said, what's your least favorite?
My least favorite? I don't want to say that.
Very diplomatic.
See, you can tell when Mr. McCormac was born. They're a little bit more close to the best.
Yeah.
Newer generation. Somebody had a question over here, I think. So, yes. So
What was the hardest thing about when you first left for to go to the war? What was the hardest thing to adjust to?
That's a good question.
There's so many things I left behind. My family and my girlfriend, I guess they were to leave them, it was tough. I wasn't an individual anymore, I was a group now. That was the biggest thing, I think. I couldn't think for myself anymore. They thought for me, what I had to do, when I had to do it. So I miss being home.
Big family, big,
Yeah,
and then you had a big family.
yeah, right.
How many grandchildren?
Last count, 12, I think, and 14 great-grandchildren. I started something.
How were the, how's the
Where?
food?
How was the food?
Yeah, how were the-
Besides that turkey dinner, what else?
Yeah.
Oh, you wouldn't want to hear some of the things I had. Going overseas, the first time I went overseas, the only time I went overseas, I come back. Going over, we were on an English ship. It wasn't the neatest kind of a ship. You go down the galley, you get the food. When it was your turn, somebody had a turn. Each table had a fellow designated to go down and get the food. I went down this one day, and I got food, and I come back. What do you think it was? Raw bacon and sour beets. You asked what kind of food we had? It wasn't all like that, but that's one of the worst.
Did you eat it? Why didn't they cook it? Raw bacon?
I never asked them.
Did you eat it?
You don't ask it. They just
Did you
tell
eat it?
Huh?
Did you eat it?
No.
No.
Nobody ate it.
What a waste. Yeah.
I like sour beets, but
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Did you like meet a lot of people, new people there that you were like with, or no? You just like
I
knew-
met a lot of them. We stayed together for many months together. But once we got home, we didn't see each other. Only one fellow I know, he lived up North Jersey. I went to see him and he came down to see me, but that's the only one.
Did you ever go back to Europe again?
I did not. I'd love to, but I didn't.
Some of you guys, I've heard from you, talk all the time. I'm sure you have. Mike, you don't have any?
Did you pick up the shells when you were on the beat, when you first got on, did you?
And they were given to me after the war.
Did you expect, and you kind of answered this, but did you expect, I mean, you're 95 years old now, and people to still be, when you're fighting in that war, you never think like, decades from now, they're still going to be asking questions. Like, you don't know you're in that history,
Yeah.
but you know it's pretty neat to be able to hear this from you.
Yeah.
You know, it's-
I'm glad to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Glad to be able to do anything at this age.
I'm telling you, 95. You would never know you were 95.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
94?
Sharp as a tack. I tell you.
When you were overseas, what was the number one most like dangerous situation you were in?
The scariest situation?
Yeah.
One time, I heard bombing coming, and fortunately, there was a cement block outside my truck. And that looked like a good place to duck in case something happened. So, another fellow, myself, got in there. It was real small, but it was safe. The cement, it was about that thick, I guess. But we hear the bombs. Oh, there they come. Then you hear one, and another one they come. That's looking a little closer. And the next one, that's even closer. Oh, we're getting to us. The first thing you know, it's on the other side of us. Boy, we locked that one out. And that's what went on night after night. Just waiting for the one. Yeah. But in that bunker, as I call it. It was so tight, we try to get a little nap in once in a while, in between bombs. And when you want to turn around, you say, what do you say we turn around? They had to do it together. There was that much room. You could hardly move, but it was safe.
Yeah. Anybody else? How about, can we get a group picture with you? Can the kids come up and, how about we go up front, guys, get a group picture, everybody?
What was it? Or
You guys, we like Mr. McCormack in the picture.
Get this, Jim?
You guys correct now. We lost him, so. All right. Oh, I'm right in the middle. You
It's great.
Yeah.
I think, let's give Mr. McCormack. Such an honor to have living history among us, and to hear from him, and to hear what he experienced. And I think that sometimes we just take for granted that there were those in front of us, and things that happened when I teach this to you, and we hear it and we study it, but we don't know it, and we don't see it, and I think that's why it was so important to have you here, and for the kids to know that there are men like you that are here, that fought for us and fought for our freedoms, and how much we truly appreciate that, and to teach us, and to carry on, that we can carry on, and be that generation that others someday, maybe Mike will be in front of a classroom and tell his story. And I grew up, my dad was a history teacher for 38 years, and so history was a big part of my life. And I actually went to law school and left, and to coach and to teach. And I guess that was always part of me that was telling something in me that I had to teach history. And so it's such an honor to have history come to my classroom, and to give it to them, and something they'll remember, I think, and just a special day for us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, the period's about to end. So again, we appreciate it.
Great.
Right, and if you guys just want to take a quick look at some things before we leave, go ahead.
You kids are lucky you have such a great teacher.
Yeah.
Great teacher.
Thank you for your great questions too.
Great questions.
Yeah,
Kids, great
thank you
kids.
guys.